technical issues during the broadcast, please call the Oregon Studio hotline at 336-831-0864. Stations, your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Duck's going to pick it up, and here we go. Got him deep. He's open. He's got it, and he's gone.
How about that?
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
Duarte pulls up, 3-ball. Bang!
LJ Figueroa!
Oregon goes back-to-back for the fourth time in the last 6 years. The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
Foley 3. Goal! Mixell fires and hits a 3. Left wing, pow. Yeah, boom, boom.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
What a weekend.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Hey, very happy Tuesday to all of you joining us across the Oregon Sports Network. Maybe you're watching the show live on the GoDucks Facebook or the GoDucks YouTube channel, maybe on the Oregon Sports Network Twitter. You might be tuning in on a podcast wherever you get your podcast. Maybe you're listening on the GoDucks app. Maybe you're listening on the TuneIn app. Maybe you're listening on GoDucks.com/live audio or on one of our many Oregon Sports Network affiliate stations. The point I'm making, a lot of different ways to tune in. I say all that because the way that you consume today's show is really going to matter, more so than I think in the majority of programs that we do, because we're going to show you some really cool stuff. More on that in just a second. Melissa Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. We chatted with her earlier this morning. We have that interview for you coming up. Look, the Ducks didn't have their best weekend, but now they got a chance to go up and beat a rival up in Seattle. We're going to talk with Coach Lombardi about that. Oregon looking like a really darn good baseball team right now. The Ducks are number 4 in the latest RPI, which measures your win-loss record, and it sort of gives your win-loss record some weight behind it based on strength of schedule. The Ducks getting a couple Pac-12 all-conference honors this week. Gabe Matthews and Robert Alstrom sweeping the Pac-12 honorees this week, Pac-12 player and pitcher of the week for Matthews and Alstrom, respectively. Also, we've got some all-region honors for Oregon volleyball to tell you about ahead of their start to postseason, which will get underway on Thursday. And what else can I tell you? Oh, spring football. Week 3 of spring football is rocking and rolling. You probably saw the Quack Minute with Rob Mosley on the Oregon football social media channels. He just talked about how the quarterback's position, there's some competition there. I think that's a good thing. We're also going to hear from Brian McClendon and Marcel Yates, wide receivers coach, new defensive backs coach for the Ducks. Travis Dice, CJ Verdell met with the media today. That is all on today's show. I talk about cool stuff, and let me give you some perspective here. The man that we're going to talk to is the assistant athletic director here at Oregon for creative and digital media. Now, what exactly that means, well, we're going to ask him. His name's Josh Phillips. He joins us via the University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line. It is our Athletic Director Tuesday interview brought to you by our friends at Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. I am so happy that Josh finally agreed to come on the show. I think Josh will be able to attest that this is probably about 18 months in the making. I've been trying to convince him to come on for a while, and maybe it started before the world shut down and in COVID times with me maybe mentioning it over a beverage or two, saying, Josh, we got to have you on. And I think Josh always thought I was kidding. Well, I'm happy to report that I am not kidding. And the man behind many of the social media efforts that you all see across Oregon athletics from the last few years, this is the guy in charge of it. So we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit today. Josh, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, Joey. I don't know if you've ever had the surreal moment in your career where you realize that you've made it, but I'm kind of living that right now on Duck Insider. I'm here in the big leagues, so I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh man, that was he's bringing it early. I like this. This is good energy on the show because you made it a long time ago, Josh. And I'm gonna look. So here's what I'll say. And Josh and I sort of joked about this yesterday. I often think that my job here and with this show, and this is why I love doing this show, is to take people like Josh who are so humble And it's a great quality. Don't get me wrong. So humble that they would never say how good they are at their job. So that's what I'm for. I'm going to say how good you are at your job. Oregon, let's just give people some of the numbers. And before I ask Josh to tell his 2-minute life story, Josh, Oregon is the most successful brand in social media for college athletics. And the numbers would tell you that, right?
Correct. Yeah. If you look at kind of the combined social media follower counts across all the various platforms for the Go Ducks athletic department handle, we lead the country in terms of follower count.
And who is the guy that's in charge of running that account?
That would be me.
See, everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. I just wanted to make sure that we got that out there. All right, Josh, you've watched the show, you've listened to the show. Everybody who comes on for the first time is required to tell their 2-minute life story. How did you get to where you are working for the Ducks?
Yeah. Okay. So my story begins here in Eugene, Oregon. I was born and raised here. Went to Churchill High School. Go Lancers.
Go Lancers.
Yes. And then graduated and came here to the University of Oregon, studied in the business school, and studied primarily sports marketing. Took a minor in graphic design as kind of like a side passion. At that time, I really wanted to work for Nike. That was kind of my goal. I wanted to be in sports, wanted to storytell, be creative. So moved to Portland after I graduated with my wife. Was there for a few years, got a few different opportunities up at Nike. Some of them were kind of social media related. Some of them were more footwear development areas. So kind of interesting, kind of bounced around. Had a hard time kind of finding a spot to fit in that was really what I wanted to do there. So a job opportunity opened up back here in Eugene. We really missed Eugene and wanted to come back. And it was with a company called Tracktown USA. Mm-hmm. And I think most of your listeners, Joey, are going to be familiar with that company. But for those who aren't, they organize and kind of from the logistical side, all the events that happened at Hayward Field for the NCAA track and fields, the Olympic trials. They manage the volunteers and things like that. And so what I did for them, it was a very small company, but I got to do a lot of different things, wear a lot of different hats. I managed the website, social media, took a lot of photos, et cetera, and really just kind of got to deepen my appreciation for the history and heritage of track and field here in Eugene. And so I was there for about 2 years, and then kind of a very natural transition happened where a position here at the University of Oregon Athletic Department opened up under head coach Robert Johnson for the track and field team. We've had Robert on here a number of times, and Coach Johnson is a very innovative, very forward-thinking guy, and he kind of realized his best asset for recruiting is through the team's social media channels. Sure. And so he wanted to bring someone on his team that was going to travel with them all the time and record videos, tell kind of the story of the team. And so I joined with the team on the staff side right after the Triple Crown, for time reference. So right after the year after that.
Good time to join.
Yes, exactly. I was bummed I missed that part, but got to hang out with them for a couple of years, and that was really great. And then this position opened up that I'm currently in about 2 years ago. And my position now is a little less, down in the trenches creating content. It's a little bit more high level, kind of strategy based, and making sure that all 18 of our sports have the content that they need to run their channels successful. So work with a small team of people that is small but mighty. And we create content for all the sport platforms.
Assistant AD for creative and digital media, Josh Phillips, joining us. That was perfect, Josh. That was well done. Good capsule. And so, I'm curious. I have a lot of things that I wanted to talk with you about, and we wanted to have a little bit of fun, everybody. So those of you who are listening on the show, as I describe what we're talking about, and Josh is going to walk us through a few different things here, you're probably going to have a vision of what we're talking about because you probably saw it on social media when it was posted to the various team accounts. So Josh actually sent us a collection of some of the favorite things that he's produced in this role over his time. And so, let's start. Scott Phillips is going to cycle through them, and Josh is going to be able to walk us through it. And so, Josh, I want to ask, as we see some of these images that you've shot, Tell us about the creative process that goes in. So first and foremost, footwear, that's kind of a big deal around here in Oregon. What's your creative process, and why are these images so powerful for the Oregon brand?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. You mentioned it earlier, asking, why is our platform so successful? And one of the reasons is we have great student athletes that do great things, but we have great content that's constantly being pushed out here. And some of that is shoes that Scott just cycled through. And my background with Nike, I love shooting that stuff. But a lot of this storytelling stuff that we're looking at right now, whether it's Sabrina or Devin or these other things, we're kind of looking at different details or different context pieces that the fans may not know. When I approach a storytelling piece, I suppose I would say that really looking to give something of value to the fan base that they may not have quite registered, whether that's a detail they didn't pick up or something valuable. A lot of times that can be student athletes' personalities. That's a big one. Allowing those to show through. Showing Sedona showing off some shoes here. One of my favorite photo shoots, and she's super fun to shoot with, and her attitude really showed. But that's kind of what I'm going for is, why do you follow an account? It's to get something of value, to be an insider. We're on Duck Insider here. So you're trying to get some extra context clues about your favorite student athletes at your favorite school. And so that's what I'm looking to try and do in just kind of different valuable ways, I guess, different creative, compelling ways that speak to fans.
Well, Josh, I think it's really powerful. I mean, for example, we just saw Peyton Pritchard with the crossover of uniforms. I think that storytelling fundamentally is a very simple task, right? It's engage with your audience. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do. But you're utilizing technology and new ways of storytelling, I think, in a way that's just really cool. So how do you balance when you're telling a story, the personality of the athlete, you're talking with the athlete, you're talking about their lives. So you have that aspect, but then you also want to push the envelope and have something really cool. And I ask that question knowing that there's a fun story behind what we're seeing right now. How do you balance, just traditional storytelling with also some ridiculously cool stuff that you guys have at your disposal? What's the balance there?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the key question is you're balancing information and, interesting artwork or compelling visuals. And so you're trying to, so here, this Peyton Pritchard piece is him changing into the NBA. And so that's the informative piece, but I don't need to say in text on the graphic, Peyton Pritchard drafted by, you understand, or most of our fans already know that. And so that's kind of how I approach it is how can I convey that information, but not, destroy the art or keep it clean and concise and simple. Yeah, I guess that's probably the best way to answer that is trying to not destroy the art piece, but still find ways that convey that message.
Well, and ultimately, as we're talking with Josh Phillips, the man behind a lot of the social media and graphics that you see across various channels for Oregon Athletics, you talk about even something simple like a photo shoot with a shoe. Well, this one looks like it's levitating, Josh. I mean, how did you do that?
So this one specifically, I actually had a tripod, a small, they're called gorilla pods, but they're bendy little tripods, kind of like spider legs. So I actually set the shoe up on that, took a photo, kept the camera where it was, moved it, took another photo, and then you basically just erase the tripod out of there. So yeah, that was the goal. This exact image on Instagram, I actually had the shoe. It was a motion piece, and it actually kind of floated over Hayward, and it was kind of a play on. The new Pegasus that year. So it was light on your feet. That was the message there on the new track stadium, which provides for a great backdrop for any sort of product shoot.
Yeah, that's 1,000% true. I can totally understand that. Josh Phillips is our guest. Okay, I want to take a quick time out, Josh, and when we come back, just this is interesting to me because I think that you're on the forefront of the way that the world is consuming media and the way that fans are interacting with student athletes. And that's really at the core of what we're talking about. And I want to dive deeper on that when we come back. It is Athletic Director Tuesday. Josh Phillips is our guest, talking a little social media and beyond. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Learfield IMG College.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joining us on the University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line that he's probably a member of as a Duck himself, Josh Phillips, the Assistant AD for Creative and Digital Media. Every Tuesday, we talk with a different athletic director around Oregon athletics. Josh is the Assistant AD for those. Basically, anything. I'll call you the Assistant AD of things that look cool. Is that a good title?
Yeah, I like that title more.
Cool. So you can change your business card. You have permission. All right. I think you can do that. Every Tuesday, our AD interview brought to you by Pepsi, locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. All right, Josh, we're talking about your approach to storytelling and strategy in social media. I'm kind of curious. How do you think social media has changed the way that student athletes interact with fans, and then also on the flip side, how fans interact with student athletes and with the teams that they follow? How has it changed, and how can you even put into words how much it has changed in the last decade or so?
Man, that is a really hard thing to put into words because it's so dramatic. I think that whether it's the student athlete to the fan or the team to the fan or the team to the student athlete, as a recruit, it's a direct line of communication, and if anything that hinders that is just volume. But the ability to have a direct message and be able to tell somebody what you think or how much you love and appreciate them or things that they mean to them, and then the ability for an athlete or an organization to directly contact back to them on a public kind of platform is something really cool. But yeah, I don't think you could ever 10 years ago. I don't think you could really fathom how much this has changed. When I was in college, Twitter was just being invented, and so yeah, it's pretty wild to think how far we've come.
So with that in mind, I joke about that a lot, that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, I mean, similar with me. Like when I was in school, that was in its infancy, and now it's one of the primary ways that everybody communicates, for better or worse at times, I think, in all seriousness. Josh, how do you utilize then the different platforms? I mean, there's a different audience, right? Like I think about that a lot in my realm. I mean, we're talking a little bit of social media with the show being a live video stream now. It's still a radio show. That was the genesis of Duck Insider all those years ago. The audience is always something that we're conscious of. I know you're very similar in that. So when you post something to Facebook, is it different than what you're going to post to Instagram, what you're going to post to Twitter, what you're going to post to anything else? How does the platform and the audience influence how you go about creating your stories?
Yeah, I think it's partially about the audience that's there. You touched on that. There are very different audiences. The people that are on Facebook aren't on Snapchat or Instagram, and as much, and everybody kind of has each individual. If you ask yourself, what's the default social media application I go to when I open my phone? Everyone kind of has their favorite. So that's one part of it we're thinking of is who is looking at this, but a different part of it too is just how it's received. Like your user experience on Instagram is way different than it is on Twitter. The way that you can have links in a caption, you can display different various mediums, or it's much more text focused in one versus an image in the other. And so we're usually thinking about that. Instagram is probably the most different, just in the way that everything is so visually focused. And so a lot of times we're just we kind of default to like what's beautiful or really impactful or really cool, and trying to kind of preserve that aesthetic.
We're talking with Josh Phillips, assistant AD for creative and digital media here at Oregon, brought to you by Pepsi and locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. So how do you, as someone who's in this every day, how do you stay on the cutting edge of what's the next platform? There's always a new social media platform all the time. I mean, how do you stay ahead of that and then also still engage with your fans that are on the more, for lack of a better phrase, established platforms?
It's a really hard question that we're learning to work with every single day. And yeah, staying on the cutting edge is just kind of staying where the fans are. So the newest app that everyone's talking about is TikTok, right? And the reality of TikTok is that different content does well there than other platforms, and it's much more of a cell phone organic kind of piece there. And so a lot of times we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, is it advantageous for us to invest our time resources into a platform that doesn't necessarily benefit us as an organization? So Snapchat is another example of, yes, you can show really cool behind the scene things on Snapchat, but most people that have Snapchat are just sending funny pictures to their friends. They're not really following a brand or anything like that. And so we kind of look at what's going to be most efficient and most beneficial to us and the student athletes here at Oregon.
Well, and that's, we touched on that in the first segment, Josh. I mean, look, everything that we all do is about the student athletes, right? And I think that social media is just the next tool to help build a student athlete's brand while also building the Oregon brand, right? I mean, there's a symbiotic relationship there, right?
100%. Yeah, we're working on different methods in order to not only just build out the Oregon brand and really emphasize how great of a school we are, but we're looking into different ways that we can help build up our student athletes and their brand and their content. Because ultimately, we don't want them taking photos off of Getty or something like that, where we would rather provide the content we're capturing to them directly. And so we're working with different pieces of software that we're partnering with. A lot of this is kind of preparation for the conversation on NIL. And so really just trying to stay on the forefront. And again, you said it best, really everything we're doing here is for the student athlete and making sure that they're successful both here and at the next step in their athletic career.
How often do you experiment with something that actually goes out into the world? I mean, you're experimenting every day like we are, but people may never see it apart from, the people in your immediate office. How often do you feel like you're experimenting when you're putting something out into the world?
I mean, everything's kind of an experiment. When I set out on a piece of content, it's kind of feeling my way through it. And a lot of times I'll start with a goal in mind and I end up way over here and it's not anything like it was. So, but as far in terms of actually posting stuff, yeah, every once in a while we're looking at what part of, I don't want to say that we're just jumping on like viral trends or anything like that, the newest TikTok dance or whatever, but we're looking at what's resonating with fans, what people are engaged with, what some other, entity out there did that was really successful, even if it's outside of sports. Hey, that was a really well crafted piece of content that communicated well. Let's see if we can replicate that in our own Oregon way. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, everything's kind of an experiment. We're always kind of trying to grow and innovate and change.
What advice do you give to people who want to get into this field or some part of this field? I mean, I get asked that question a lot. I'm sure you do as well. What advice do you give people?
Yeah, that's a really good one, and I'm glad you asked it. I would just say, and this goes for outside of creative as well, but I would just say that do your best to make your own opportunities. When I was in college looking for a way to get into more of the creative industry, I went to a coffee shop and just offered, hey, I'll take some photos for you for your Instagram. Again, very new back then.
Right.
But hey, I'll help create some content of some pretty coffee beans and photos of people in the shop, etc. And that was a way for me to practice my photography and add to my portfolio. And the coffee shop paid me in free coffee. And that was worth it. That opportunity never would have happened if I didn't just go and ask. And so being bold and looking for ways to kind of create your own luck would be my best suggestion. And then just continue to learn and continue to push yourself. If you're really good at, say you're a photographer, maybe you learn a little bit of Photoshop or a little bit of video and really kind of expand your skill set. Make yourself as useful to an organization as you possibly can.
Yeah, I often tell people that the phrase "jack of all trades, master of none" is only partially true. You need to be a jack of all trades and probably at least a master of a few, right, Josh?
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting how everything has sort of developed that way. Everybody's multimedia. The multi there, I think, is important in today's world. Yeah. Josh Phillips, the assistant AD for creative and digital media. Josh, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, and I can't thank you enough for what you do for the Ducks. It's been awesome to see the power of the brand, and we talk about that, but big reason why the power of the brand is there is because of the storytelling that's at the core of this for student athletes. And you're not just throwing something against the wall and seeing if it sticks. It's something that's pretty darn sticky by the time it goes out into the world, and that's because of the really, really good work from people like Josh. And so that's why I'm glad that I could finally convince Josh to take some time and come on the show. And Josh, thanks, buddy. This was great.
Hey, thanks, Joey. Anytime. I hope you have me back a second time. I hope I didn't mess it up too bad.
Oh, no, you realize now he's in the regular rotation.
Yeah.
This is what happens. I finally convinced someone to do one of these, and then they're in that regular rotation on AD Tuesday. So we'll get you locked into the Zoom schedule. I've got kind of alternating for everybody. We'll just make sure. Josh Phillips, the assistant AD for creative and digital media. Thank you, sir, and best of luck the rest of the way. And I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Hopefully very soon.
All right. When we come back, talking about social media, Tanner Smith, oh, man, he made me laugh. And we're going to talk about that as Oregon baseball continues to roll. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Dear Freedom, Toyota hybrids say, let's go faster and further with 10 hybrid models to choose from and tons of top tech. The best part? Every Toyota hybrid offers an extended hybrid battery warranty for 10 years or 150,000 miles. So let's go places. Toyota hybrids.
For Toyota hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and fuel cell and battery electric vehicles beginning with model year 2020. The hybrid HV battery is covered for 10 years from original date of first use or 150,000 miles, whichever comes first. Coverage is subject to terms and conditions of your new vehicle limited warranty. See owner's warranty and maintenance guide for details.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish, Dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. I seriously, I know those interviews. That's why I really enjoy doing this show. I've always said this. Like, I know that no one gives anything for what I think, and you shouldn't. It's people though like Josh that are behind the scenes that do so much of this work that it's cool to celebrate them, and so I'm glad that we were able to do that, and that's why I had to start the interview with so Josh, Oregon is the most successful social media brand, right? Yeah. And who's the one that's in charge of that? Me. Yeah. I mean, that's worth celebrating, and I think that that's just cool, and it's an interesting conversation for those of you who are kind of interested, I think, in the nitty-gritty of how this all works and the conversations that go on in our little corner of the athletic department. I mean, Josh, big reason why there's a lot of success, so I wanted to celebrate it. You talk about good social media. Well, I think that everybody probably saw Tom Brady's post, and courtesy to Tom Brady's Twitter, he's had a little bit of fun every time that he and Gronk have won, and let's just say that it was good social media. That's what it's all about. So shout out Tom Brady for doing it and having a little bit of fun with it. Well, you know what? Shout out Tanner Smith, who also had a little bit of fun with it. Posted his version of the video with the Ducks going 3-0 against the Beavs, and some highlights with Tanner Smith. I mean, yeah, that's just great social media. If you haven't seen it, I retweeted it. I'm on Twitter at JoeyMacUO. And find Tanner Smith. He's on Twitter at Tanner_Smith. That's just the funny stuff. I mean, we all can just celebrate these sorts of things and have some fun with it, right? And you talk about celebrating. Well, the baseball team coming off a sweep of Oregon State. The Pac-12 Conference named Robert Alstrom the Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week and Gabe Matthews the Pac-12 Player of the Week here today. In 4 games, Matthews, the Salem native, who was a nice cameo for him in Tanner Smith's video, he hit .636, went 7 for 11 with a home run, 4 RBI, 3 runs scored, and a double, while finishing with a .688 on-base percentage, a 1.091 slugging percentage. That's pretty darn good. Matthews became Oregon's all-time career leader in doubles in a midweek game against Portland last week. Big reason why he's been successful, just his consistency. Alstrom, his second Pac-12 Pitcher of the Week honor this season. He held the Beavers scoreless through 7 innings before giving up a leadoff triple in the 8th, and he was removed, but he's the reason the Ducks won that game. I mean, Robert Alstrom, an Oregonian from Eugene, Gabe Matthews, an Oregonian from Salem, just showing out in a series with your rival. That's awesome, and it was great to see. So the Ducks sweeping the conference Players of the Week honors. I can't say that sentence. I've done it twice now. Alstrom, by the way, the first Oregon pitcher to claim 2 Conference League weekly honors in the same season since Oregon's now designated hitter, Kenyon Yovan, did it when he was on the mound for the Ducks. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Also talking about things we're celebrating, Oregon volleyball landed 3 players on the coaches' Pacific North All-Region team following a vote earlier this year. Carson Bacon, Gloria Mutiri, Brooke Nuneviller each received the honor, while Georgia Murphy earned all-region honorable mention recognition for the Ducks. And their postseason for Oregon volleyball, we'll tell you a little bit more about it coming up and talk some football because the Ducks are, they're in a good spot. All right, we're going to get a quick time out because we got a lot more to get to. When we come back, Melissa Lombardi, head coach Oregon softball, didn't go the Ducks' way against UCLA. It's going to go the Ducks' way against Washington. Okay? I think you're gonna like what you have to hear from Coach Lombardi. We're going to talk with her coming up. Also, some Oregon football interviews when we return to Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to really volatilize it.
What?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
It's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor charge characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the Dew.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics. This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace. Learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. Now you're queen of your castle. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll feel empowered to own your retirement like you own your home. Go to aceyourretirement.org. Because when it comes to clearing financial hurdles, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you inside the Country Financial Studio. Been talking a lot of different sports today, and now we turn our attention to Jane Sanders Stadium and Oregon softball, as Melissa Lombardi is kind enough to join us via the University of Oregon Alumni Association guest line. Coach, it looks like the office is taking shape. I'm happy to report that you're going to be our neighbor soon, right?
Yes. I've got a couple boxes I'm still trying to unload, but for the most part, we are in our new offices and all is well.
Isn't that like rule number one of coaching? Like you don't move during the season, though? Isn't that like the worst part?
Yes, it is. We moved in January. I just haven't touched my boxes because season.
I understand. Melissa Lombardi, kind enough to join us. Coach, let's look back a little bit. This was obviously a huge series build against two top three teams in the conference, and unfortunately didn't go your guys' way after you got the win in Game 1. Just start with your general thoughts after this weekend against UCLA.
I agree. I love how we came out and we got the first win. I think it's important in every series to be able to find a way to get the first one, and we did. I thought we pitched great. I thought we got the hits that we needed. I thought our defense was great. I think the rest of the weekend, we gave ourselves opportunity to win, and we just didn't cash in enough. And some miscues as well. And I think anytime you play a team like UCLA, you when you have opportunity, you got to take it, and you've got to be clean in all your other areas as well.
So as a coach, how do you learn from that? How do you articulate it to your team like, hey, we can learn from something like this?
For sure. I think we definitely learned from it, and it's going to take us into this next weekend with Washington and the rest of the way. I mean, if we were perfect all season long, the only way that we are going to get better is to have situations that don't go our way. And so, we're not happy that it didn't go our way, but from here, what I want to see is how are we going to respond to this past weekend? What are we going to look like this upcoming weekend? And one thing I do know about this team since day one, anytime we ask them to respond, they do. But I think for them to understand that we had opportunity, we just let it slip away.
Brooke Inez, I got to ask you about just the way that she performed, because masterful on Friday and was really pretty solid. And you guys asked a lot of her this weekend, and how did she do in your mind?
We did. We asked her to give us a chance to win every time we gave her the ball and she was on the mound, and she did that. She gave us a chance to win. I love her competitiveness on the mound. I love how she's attacking hitters. I really like what she's doing. I know she would go, there's a couple things that I need to adjust and be better with. I mean, all of us need to, but overall, what we're asking of her, she is providing.
Offensively, Coach, we said that Allie Bunker was like steady Eddie when you and I talked last week. Well, she kind of did that again this weekend, didn't she? I mean, Allie Bunker did a really nice job at the plate for you yet again.
She did. I think she was 8 for 13 over the week. And, the pitching that we faced this weekend was tough. Rachel Garcia is the best pitcher in the country right now. And, that's another thing. We didn't get the outcomes that we wanted overall the whole weekend. But, I think we had 11 hits off of her. I think it's the most anybody has hit off her up into the season. There's like a lot of good things that came from the weekend. It's just, I think, ultimately finding a way to finish things out. And I really loved what Allie did at the plate, and I think it's just getting a little bit more. We need a little bit more from our offense, and I would say the same thing from defense, and I would say the same thing from pitching. We just didn't have as much as we needed in all three areas. We need more.
So, what do you take away then as a coaching staff? You feel like you're right there. Is that even more frustrating sometimes than being a ways away? Like, you guys are that close. Is that more frustrating as a team?
Yeah, I think it can be a little frustrating because we know we're capable. Like our team, they went into the weekend. They're not afraid to play UCLA. They're not afraid to compete against Rachel Garcia. I think it's just us together as a group, understanding that we just need a little bit more. We just what we gave, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And I think that's what this team's I know we'll get that figured out.
So, the obvious question there, and you answered it a little bit, is what gets you over that hump? Is it just that little extra step, and then also seeing some success against a team like that? That helps, doesn't it?
Sure. I think this will help us tremendously, but I think it's just them recognizing that what we did was good, but it wasn't enough. And that just having that fire in your belly that will not allow you to be denied, that we will not be denied. And I think that's the next step that we need to get to, is just knowing that we are putting ourselves in a situation to have success and that will not be denied.
The best teams tend to be those that learn from losses, right? I mean, so it kind of feel like a little bit of a jumping off point. I think, personally, I saw it with Oregon baseball. They lose to Portland 6-4 last Tuesday. Then they sweep a top 25 team in Oregon State this weekend. There's the latest example. Sometimes you can learn from losses. It gives you that fire, right?
It does. It does. I think it makes you make a choice. I think it puts you at a crossroads and it makes you make a choice. How bad do you want it? What are you willing to do to get to the other side of it? And, nobody likes to lose. And I think that right there, enough is motivation as well. I think good things are to come.
I hear coaches, I'm sorry to interrupt, Coach. I hear coaches talk, too, about how, sometimes you don't want players that love to win. You want players that hate to lose more than they love to win. Did you kind of feel that this weekend? Because just looking at some of the comments post-game, and I watched the post-game press conferences, I kind of felt that from your team this weekend.
Yeah, I think this team is a very, very competitive team. And I think for us, it's just really, we know how tough the pack is, but obviously now as we're going through it, I think they're getting to experience it, firsthand. And so I think these experiences are what's going to drive our team to want nothing but the best and to find a way to really, we know how to grind. But from this weekend, we found out we've got to grind even more. We know how to clutch up, but we found out from this weekend, we've got to really understand that when there's opportunity, that you got to take it, and you can't wait for another opportunity to come.
Talking Oregon softball with head coach Melissa Lombardi. Washington is next. The Ducks traveling to Seattle, 5 o'clock on Friday. Going to be on the Washington live stream. And then the doubleheader starting at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Going to be televised on Pac-12 Network before the series finale at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Also on Pac-12 Network for the Ducks facing another rival in Washington. We'll talk about that in a moment. Coach, I wanted to zero in on something that you said that I thought was really interesting. You talked a bit this weekend about pinch hitters coming up and going down looking. I thought that was really interesting because I've heard so many coaches say that being a pinch hitter might actually be the most difficult thing to do in sports, right? I mean, so I just wanted to kind of revisit that with you for our audience today. When you're talking about pinch hitters, you want them to come off and be aggressive, but you don't want them to come off and be over-aggressive. How do you do that as a pinch hitter, and what are you looking for in those situations?
You know what? I would kind of compare a pinch hitter to a closer, somebody that's coming in to pitch middle relief, somebody that's coming in to close up a game. There's a certain mindset that goes in all those areas. I think there's a certain mindset that goes with being a pinch hitter and coming off the bench. And I think it's just having that mindset and sticking to your plan, because you don't want to come up and take strike one, strike two, and now you're 0-2, but you don't want to come up and swing at the first pitch that's out of the zone and make an easy out. So I think it's each one of them understanding and trusting their game plan and knowing that this is a certain pitch that I'm looking for. If it's there, I'm going for it. I mean, that's the whole reason I came up in the first place, is to be a pinch hit, to have a pinch hit. But if it's not what I'm looking for, I'm not on time, then I've got to have the discipline to stay off of it and wait for my pitch to show up. So it's tough, but you know what? we're in the middle of our season. Our athletes we're specific with what their roles are, and athletes that are coming off the bench, and it's understanding your role and understanding how to be great with it and have that mindset to go along.
Oregon softball traveling to Washington. Give us the report on the Huskies this year, Coach. What's the scouting report on your rival?
Very good. I mean, it's going to be just like Washington. They've got great pitching. They've got great power throughout their lineup. They've got some speed. They've always had really, really good defense. So, again, it's just preparing for another great opponent.
Hoping to get over that hump. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to come this weekend. Melissa Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. Coach, it's so funny. I'm sitting here talking to you, and it's a matchup between two top 3 teams, and it's another Pac-12 opponent coming up. And, I mean, shoot, this is still a top 10, top 5 squad, Coach. I mean, I think sometimes I'm sure you guys are that way. You want to win every game. But sitting in this chair, I think even sometimes the expectations on you guys are awfully high. And that's a good thing, right? Like, you want those high expectations at this point in the year.
Absolutely. That's the whole reason we play. We play to be the best and to beat the best. So, it's those expectations go right along with that. And our athletes, our team, they have the high expectations as well. I know people around us do, but our team, they know what they want. They know what they're working towards. I think we also understand that there's a process, and there's going to be times where we're at highs and we're celebrating, and there's going to be some lows. It's to us, how quickly can we get from the high, the low, and keep grinding through the middle and working our way up. So just trusting in the process and getting right back after it.
Dare I say being steady Eddie?
Yes.
Right.
Be a bunk and be steady Eddie.
That's right. Channel your inner alley bunker. Melissa Lombardi joining us, Oregon softball head coach. Matchup up in Seattle, a 4-game set beginning Friday at 5 o'clock. Ducks and Washington on the softball diamond. Coach, thank you for always taking the time. I very much appreciate it, and best of luck. Safe travels to Seattle.
All right. Thanks, Joey.
When we come back, there's tons going on, including postseason for Oregon volleyball. We're going to tell you a little bit about that after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, live in the Country Financial Studio. So, hey, a little bit of housekeeping. No Duck Insider tomorrow because I will be going up to Portland for Oregon baseball. They've got a 2 o'clock first pitch up at Portland. Hey, look, this is a big deal for Oregon. Okay, so the Ducks lost to the Pilots in a midweek game on Tuesday. They're 1-1 against the Pilots this year. Then Oregon goes and sweeps Oregon State on the diamond. Well, you got to keep that momentum going. I think this is a big game tomorrow for Oregon. I think we're going to find out a lot about Oregon baseball and if they can keep that momentum going at Joe Etzel Field. Selfishly, I'm really excited to see the new Joe Etzel Field. I haven't been up there since they did it. So no Duck Insider tomorrow because it's a 2 o'clock first pitch and a 1:45 pregame show. And talking about things that are pretty darn awesome, well, Oregon volleyball is going to play the winner of Army and Notre Dame in the postseason volleyball tournament. So Army and Notre Dame are going to play tomorrow. Then at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, you can stream it via the ESPN app. Oregon volleyball is going to play the winner of that match between Army and Notre Dame. We will have full coverage of that for you on Duck Insider on Thursday. We also will have Travis Dye and CJ Verdell, who met with the media for Oregon football today. We didn't have enough time to get them into our system as they wrapped up right before we got going today, so we'll have those interviews for you Thursday, talking a little bit about the running back position. And I'm also told that Kelly Graves is going to do a wrap-up press conference on Wednesday, which means that we'll have a lot of Kelly Graves to kind of wrap things up. So what I'm getting at is there's going to be a whole lot of interviews and a whole not lot of me, which is good for everybody. Give it a round of applause. That's good for everybody. Speaking of that, a couple thoughts here from Oregon wide receivers coach Brian McClendon. I said that this is probably the deepest unit for Oregon and maybe the most competitive unit heading into the spring, and it sounds like Coach kind of agrees with that as Brian McClendon met with the media.
Hey, Coach, I know you have a significant background with the SEC conference, and so I was just wondering, people say that Coach Cristobal is bringing SEC to Oregon. I'm wondering your perspective, how close is Oregon? How competitive would Oregon be in the SEC right now?
Sure. Well, I think that's a good question. One, I would say it's real difficult to say that Oregon couldn't be competitive anywhere that Oregon is, right? I think that we have a talented team. We're talented. I think we have some depth in the right spots. But there's still a lot of questions, just like there is with every team out there in the country right now. So I mean, we're a long way away from being a finished product. Right now we're a work in progress. And I think right now we're working to be the team that I feel like can reach their full potential of the talent that we have. So we're a long way away to say that we're going to be competitive and what we would do anywhere. But I do feel like we're talented enough. We have good enough coaches. We have good enough schemes and the right people here to go out and be competitive anywhere. There are two places.
When we're looking at young wide receivers that can make an impact pretty early, what are some of the things that you're looking at that, you need to see, like they need to check these boxes when they're making that transition to the next level?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing that doesn't translate from high school to college when it comes to wide receiver play is the ability to be able to beat man to man. Those guys are normally so talented and they're so feared, to be quite honest with you, from week in and week out in high school, that not many people just going to challenge those guys in man-to-man situations a lot. Well, once you get to college, every critical situation is a man-to-man situation, right? Third down, short yardage. So you get an opportunity to really see what those guys can do early on in those situations. And every time practice comes around, just because they're typically faced with guys whose abilities match their own. And so it's been really good to see those young guys come in and be able to compete right away and do well in those situations. Obviously they still have a long way to go. But that's something that we constantly work on in our room, to go out there and be able to beat man to man, especially in those critical situations, because that's what you're going to be called to do at the receiver position.
Can you maybe just give us an idea of what competition is like right now at that receiver spot for you guys? And
yeah, I mean, there's competition at every spot, just like you would think it would be. The older guys have done a really, really, really good job of coming in and mentoring the young guys. But the one thing that I'm really proud of the older guys, the approach that they've taken and the approach that we have in our room is competition is welcome. It brings out the best in everybody, makes everybody be sharp, and makes everybody have to go out there and do the very best that they can do every single day. And it's welcome and it's encouraged. And the older guys are setting the standard when it comes to that. And the younger guys are doing a really good job of just following the line into the standard that those older guys set in that regard. So
that's Brian McClendon talking with the media, Oregon wide receivers coach. I think it's a very competitive group, and I'm really excited to see what the scrimmage on Saturday, Oregon football going to scrimmage in Autzen Stadium on Saturday with a lot of competition on the line. And also of note, I thought that this was a cool interview talking with a new coach for Oregon is always interesting, right? So Marcel Yates, we talked with him recently after Oregon football practice, because What does he bring to the table? Well, this is the comment that many of you have probably seen quoted now. You hear him talking about it a little bit. Why come here? Well, might be to win a national championship, because Marcel Yates, that's a good thing, right? Marcel Yates talking.
What's it been like for you getting settled in with the staff and, getting some kind of form of continuity being with Tim still this year?
It's been great, man. A whole lot of these guys already knew. And so I came in and we went straight to work. So, that's always a good feeling. For us as coaches, it's kind of easy, right? Because we just go from one football building, to a new football building. So it's been a smooth transition. Being here with Coach DeRuiter has been good for me because I know the defense, so it's not a lot of new stuff I need to learn. So as far as that transition, it's been pretty smooth.
Coach, I was interested in one of the players that got moved to the secondary, Brian Addison. I guess he's playing a lot of safety and maybe some cornerback for you. Talk about how that tall, lengthy guy is working out for you in the secondary right now.
Brian's been doing great. He's been learning. He works hard. He's rangy, obviously, right, with that long frame of his. So he's been doing good. Continues to get better every day. Ask a ton of questions and each day. So he's getting better.
A couple days now where you've had practice, I guess, just what's kind of your assessment of the safety position group and just what you have? Verone's a pretty experienced guy, and, you've got maybe a bunch of other guys that are fighting for spots. What's kind of your assessment right now of this group?
As a group, very hardworking group, knowledgeable. They want to be coached hard. They show up early to everything. They ask a ton of questions, which I like. They want to know the ins and outs of everything we do and why we're doing it. So in that aspect, as far as them trying to learn, that's great. They come on every day. They work hard. Every now and then we'll have a day where we're not running to the ball the way we need to. So we're getting that fixed. But all in all, as a group, right, I can't complain about their effort, right? And I can't complain about the knowledge that they have.
Marcella, who's all working at the boundary side, and where is Scoop starting off?
Scoop has been playing both. We've been going we've been going field and boundary. So, we switch it off. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a guy that I give up very, very little information. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I loved that. I loved that from Coach Yates. Just, hey, I don't know if you guys know, but I don't say a whole lot. I get it. I understand. That was cool hearing from new secondary coach Marcel Yates. Man, busy day. So baseball tomorrow. If you're usually listening to Duck Insider live in the 1 o'clock hour, join us for baseball 1:45. Yeah, it's going to be fun up in Portland at Joe Edsel Field. Go Ducks. See you then.
All right, everybody in the car. Let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.